The planet Alaris was unlike anything humans had ever seen. Its skies glimmered with 3 suns, each a different shade of gold, orange and rose. The oceans reflected the sunlight like sparkling glass, and massive cities floated above the waves, suspended by unknown technology. Lush forests stretched far into the horizon, and waterfalls fell from cliffs into crystal-clear lakes. It was a world of wonder, full of life, color, and quiet magic. Princess Leora walked through the palace gardens, her soft feet brushing over petals that shimmered like jewels. She had long silvery hair that fell gently over her shoulders and eyes that changed color depending on her mood. Today they were a deep shade of emerald, reflecting her nervous excitement. Though she was a princess, Leora had always been shy. She loved exploring the gardens alone, feeling the wind on her face and listening to the soft hum of nature. But today was different. A human had arrived on Alaris. A real human walking into their world with curiosity and hope. His name was Kale, and he was part of a peaceful diplomatic mission from Earth. He had been chosen for his courage, intelligence, and kind heart. None of that mattered to Leora. All she could think about was how very tall, very confident, and very human he seemed. She hid behind a flowering tree as she watched him speak to the royal advisors. Kale was polite and careful, smiling warmly as he asked questions about Alarian culture. He seemed genuine, and somehow that made Leora's heart race. She had never met a human before, and the idea of talking to him made her cheeks warm with nervousness. Kale glanced around, noticing the beauty of the gardens. His eyes sparkled as he saw flowers that shimmered like glass, fountains that danced in the sunlight, and trees with leaves that glowed softly. And then he saw her, Princess Leora, standing partially hidden behind a tree. She looked startled, as if she had been caught in a secret moment. "Hello," Kale said gently, stepping closer but keeping a respectful distance. "I'm Kale. I've come from a planet called Earth. I didn't mean to intrude." Leora's eyes widened and she took a small step back. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. She had rehearsed what she might say, but now that he was standing there, all her courage seemed to have disappeared. I'm Leora," she finally whispered, her voice barely audible. Kyle smiled softly. "It's a beautiful name. You don't have to be afraid. I just want to learn about your world." Leora's heart fluttered. He wasn't laughing at her, and he wasn't demanding anything. He just wanted to understand. That simple thought made her feel a little braver. She nodded slightly, keeping her gaze on the flowers instead of his eyes. Kyle looked around the gardens again, clearly fascinated. "These gardens, they're incredible. I've never seen anything like this." Leora's curiosity peeked through her shyness. They are old. The palace built them a long time ago. Each flower, each tree, has a story." Kale tilted his head. "Stories? I'd love to hear one." Leora hesitated, unsure if she should speak. But there was something about Kale's friendly, open expression that encouraged her. She took a deep breath. "This tree," she said, pointing to one with glowing blue leaves, "is called the Whispering Tree. When the wind moves through its branches, it sounds like soft voices. Sometimes warning, sometimes laughter. Long ago, my grandmother used to sit here and listen to it. She said the tree spoke the truth if you listened carefully." Kale's eyes widened in amazement. "It speaks the truth? That's amazing. I wish we had trees like that on Earth." Leora felt a small smile tug at her lips. Kale really did seem genuinely interested. She continued, describing other plants, the shimmering fountains, and even the hidden paths in the garden that few people knew. Each word she spoke made her feel a little braver. As they walked together through the garden, Leora noticed something unexpected. Kale wasn't just looking at the garden, he was watching her. Not in a strange way, but as if he truly wanted to understand her world and her thoughts. That made her heart race faster than she had expected. She glanced down at her hands, fidgeting with a silver leaf she had picked up, trying to hide her nervousness. Kale noticed her hesitation and chuckled softly. "You don't have to be so shy, Princess Leora. I promise I'm not scary." Leora's ears, sensitive to sound, twitched slightly. She gave a small, embarrassed laugh. I'm not used to talking with humans. You seem very different from what I imagined." Kyle smiled warmly. "Different can be good. It means we can teach each other new things." The princess thought about that. Different could be good. That idea calmed her slightly, and she found herself walking closer to Kale instead of hiding. They reached a fountain shaped like a silver dragon. Water cascaded from its mouth, sparkling in the sunlight. Leora leaned on the fountain's edge, watching the patterns the water made as it fell. Kale knelt beside her, tracing a line in the water with his finger. Your world? It feels alive, Kale said quietly. Not just the plants in the water, but the way it feels. Peaceful, but full of possibilities. Leora's eyes softened. It is alive. Alaris has been here for many, many years. We try to live in harmony with it. Kyle nodded, clearly impressed. I think that's something humans could learn from. For a moment, silence fell between them. Leora could hear the gentle hum of the gardens, the whisper of the wind through the trees, and her own heartbeat. She realized that being near Kale didn't make her feel nervous in the same way it had before. It was different, comfortable, in a strange but nice way. Suddenly, a small bird-like creature with iridescent feathers flew past them, landing on the fountain's edge. It chirped a melodious tune that seemed to match the rhythm of Leora's heartbeat. She reached out slowly, and the creature hopped onto her hand. Kale watched in fascination, careful not to startle it. You have a way with them, he said softly. They trust you. Leora smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest. I think they can sense kindness, and I try not to scare them. Kale nodded, looking at her with admiration. I wish I could learn to be like that. You can, Leora said quietly, surprising herself. The words came out before she could stop them. You just have to be patient and gentle, Kale grinned. Then I'll try. I'd like to learn from you. The sun dipped lower in the sky, and the three suns cast long golden shadows across the garden. Leora felt her heart swell with a mix of excitement and nervousness. She had always been shy, but Kale's presence was changing something inside her. She didn't fully understand it yet, but she wanted to. As the humans' delegation was called back to the palace, Kyle turned to Leora. I hope we can talk again soon. I'd like to see more of your world if you're willing. Leora hesitated for a moment, then nodded, feeling a quiet courage rising in her chest. I would like that too. With a polite bow, Kyle walked back toward the delegation. Leora stayed in the garden watching his retreating figure. Her cheeks were warm. Her heart raced and a small, shy smile formed on her lips. She realized something important. Maybe, just maybe, meeting this human could teach her more than she had ever imagined. About friendship, courage, and even herself. As night fell, the next morning the sun, or rather the three suns, shone brightly over Alaris. Each one painted the sky in colors that humans could barely name. Soft gold, gentle orange, and pale rose. The palace glimmered in the sunlight, its towers floating gracefully above the lakes and forests. Leora stood on the balcony watching the city wake. Her silvery hair sparkled, and her eyes, a soft shade of green, followed the movements of the people below. She had been thinking about Kyle all night. The human warrior had arrived only a day ago, yet his presence lingered in her mind. She found herself replaying their conversation in the garden, the way he had listened carefully, the way he had smiled. For someone so confident and strong, he was also gentle and patient. That combination made Leora feel strange feelings she had never experienced before. Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock on the balcony door. Her advisor, a wise elder named Thalen, stepped in. Princess Leora, he said, bowing slightly. Kyle has asked to learn about Alarian customs and traditions. He wishes to understand us better. He requested your guidance. Leora's heart skipped a beat. She had not expected to be asked to teach a human. I can try, she whispered, feeling nervous. Thalen nodded. He will respect your instructions. But remember, Leora, patience is important. Humans often think differently than we do. She took a deep breath and nodded. I understand. I'll do my best. A short while later, Kale arrived at the balcony, carrying a small book he had brought with him from Earth. His expression was full of curiosity, and his eyes sparkled like the lakes below. Good morning, Princess Leora, Kale said politely. I was told you might help me understand your culture better. I would be honored if you agreed. Leora felt her cheeks warm, but she nodded. I will show you, but you must be patient. Ilarian traditions are delicate. Not everything is simple, and some things cannot be rushed. I understand, Kale replied, smiling gently. I will follow your guidance. They walked together through the palace halls, Leora leading the way. The walls were lined with glowing plants, and paintings moved slowly, changing colors and shapes as though alive. Leora's nervousness softened as she saw Kale paying attention to every detail. asking thoughtful questions and never interrupting. Their first stop was the meditation hall, a large circular room with a high ceiling and soft floating lights. The floor was covered in moss-like material that felt soft underfoot, and the air was filled with a faint, calming scent of blossoms. "This is where we practice reflection," Leora explained, her voice quiet but steady. "We focus on our thoughts, our feelings, and the energy around us. Humans may not be familiar with it, but it is important to us. It teaches patience and understanding." Kale knelt down carefully, mimicking her posture. "I think I can do that," he said. "Though it may take me time to understand." Leora smiled softly. "Take your time. There is no rush, just pay attention." For a few moments they sat in silence. Kale closed his eyes, breathing slowly, while Leora observed the faint shimmer of his aura, a subtle sign of his focus and intent. She felt a small sense of pride. He was trying. He truly was. After a while, Kale opened his eyes and whispered, It feels different. Peaceful, but also like I am learning more about myself." Leora's smile grew. "That is exactly what reflection should feel like. You are doing well." The next lesson was more interactive. Leora took Kale to the palace library, where books floated gently around the room waiting to be chosen. Each book contained knowledge of Illyrian history, culture, art, and science. "This library is not just for reading," Leora explained. "Each book can interact with the reader. It can show visions, sounds, and even small illusions of the past. It helps us understand events, not just memorize them." Kale's eyes widened in wonder. "That's incredible. On Earth, we only have books on paper. Nothing like this." Leora carefully selected a book. She opened it, and a soft glow spread through the room. Images of Alaris's past floated in the air. Great cities, peaceful gatherings, and inventions that allowed the citizens to live in harmony with their environment. Kyle reached out with fascination, gently touching the floating images. "I never imagined a world could be so harmonious," Kale whispered. "Your people. They think about everything, every action, and its effect on others." Leora blushed slightly. We try. It is not always easy. But it is important. We value respect, understanding, and care for life." Kale nodded thoughtfully. "I admire that. I hope humans can learn from it someday." The lessons continued throughout the day. Leora taught Kale how to communicate with the plants in the palace gardens, not with words, but with intention and thought. Kale laughed gently when a glowing flower tilted toward him as if nodding in recognition. Leora's shyness softened as she guided him, noticing his genuine interest and care. During lunch, they sat under a tree with leaves that changed color, according to the emotions of those nearby. Kale hesitated before sitting down, worried about offending Leora with his human habits. She noticed and smiled softly. "You do not need to worry," she said. "Humans, you have different ways. It is okay, we can learn from each other." Kale smiled, relieved. "Thank you, Princess Leora. That means a lot." They shared stories of their worlds over the meal. Kale spoke of Earth, its oceans, mountains, and diverse people. Leora shared small tales of Alaris's history, its inventions, and the lessons of her ancestors. Though their worlds were very different, they found common ground in curiosity, kindness, and the desire to learn. After lunch, Leora led Kale to the training gardens, a place where citizens practiced balance, coordination, and focus. Leora explained that this was not combat training, but a way to strengthen mind and body while respecting all life. Kyle followed her through the exercises, carefully mimicking her movements. He stumbled occasionally, causing Leora to giggle softly. The sound made him look at her, and he realized how delicate yet confident she was in her actions. You move with such grace," Kale said. "It's amazing." Leora's cheeks warmed. It takes practice and patience." Kale nodded. "Then I will practice. I want to understand your ways, not just watch them." The afternoon passed quickly as they moved from garden to meditation hall, from library to observation deck, each lesson blending knowledge, culture, and mutual respect. By evening, Leora felt a surprising sense of comfort around Kale. He was patient, curious, and respectful, not imposing, not loud, not demanding, just present. As the three suns set, painting the sky with colors even more brilliant than morning, Leora found herself standing on the balcony again, Kyle beside her. The air was cool, filled with the scent of flowers and the soft hum of Alaris at twilight. You've learned a lot today, Leora said softly. And you were patient. That is important, Kyle smiled warmly. I've learned more than I expected, but the most important lesson I've learned is about you, Princess Leora. You are brave and kind and amazing. I am honored to know you. Leora felt a flutter in her chest. She had expected compliments, perhaps curiosity, but not admiration so genuine. She lowered her eyes, feeling shy once again, yet proud in a quiet way. Thank you, she whispered. I'm glad you're here. I hope we can learn more together tomorrow. Kale nodded. I would like nothing more. As night fell, the stars of Alaris twinkled brightly, reflecting in the floating lakes and the shimmering towers. Leora stood quietly, thinking about the day. She realized that her shyness was not a weakness, it was part of who she was. And with Kale's gentle guidance and understanding, she felt the beginnings of a new courage. A small spark of bravery she had never felt before. For the first time, she looked forward to the next day, knowing that meeting a human had changed something inside her. Something gentle, something exciting, and something hopeful. And deep inside, she wondered what lessons tomorrow would bring. Not just about her culture, but about friendship, trust, and perhaps even the beginnings of something more. Alaris was alive with excitement. The Festival of Lights was the most anticipated celebration of the year, a tradition that had lasted for centuries. Floating lanterns shimmering in every color of the rainbow filled the sky, carrying wishes, hopes, and dreams. The streets were lined with glowing flowers, soft music played from crystal instruments, and citizens of all ages moved gracefully, enjoying the beauty of the evening. Princess Leora had been nervous about the festival. She loved the celebration, but crowds always made her shy. And now, with Kale accompanying her, she felt both excitement and anxiety. She adjusted her flowing gown, the fabric shimmering with soft silver threads, and took a deep breath. Kale approached her with a gentle smile. Ready for the festival? He asked, noticing her hesitation. Leora nodded, though her hands fidgeted slightly. I think so. I hope it will not be too overwhelming. Kale gave her a reassuring look. I'll stay with you. You're not alone. Walking together through the palace gates, they were greeted by the sight of thousands of lanterns floating above the city. Each lantern carried a wish, and the soft glow created a feeling of magic and peace. Leora's eyes widened. She had seen this festival many times before, but seeing it through the perspective of a human made it feel fresh and new. Wow, Kale whispered. It's incredible. Leora smiled faintly. It is. Every year we release lanterns to honor hope and harmony. Each one carries a thought or a wish. It reminds us to be kind and to think of others. As they moved deeper into the festival, Leora felt herself relaxing slightly. Kale's presence was calming, and his curiosity was genuine, never overwhelming. He paused often, pointing out lanterns that looked like stars or small fountains that glowed with colored light. Leora noticed a child struggling to release a lantern. Without thinking, she gently approached the child and helped them hold the lantern steady. Kale watched quietly, impressed by the princess's kindness. You really care about everyone, Kale said softly as the child finally released the lantern into the sky. Leora's cheeks warmed. I try to. It is important to care, Kale nodded. It shows. You have a beautiful heart, Princess Leora. The evening air was cool, but the warmth of the lights and the festival made everything feel comfortable. Leora led Kale to a small platform overlooking the main plaza, where a grand display of lanterns floated upward in unison. The sight was breathtaking, the lanterns reflecting off the lakes and buildings, creating a sea of colors that stretched as far as the eye could see. Kale stood beside her, his eyes wide with amazement. It's magical, he whispered. Leora nodded, her voice barely above a whisper. It is. Many people believe the lanterns carry not just wishes, but feelings. They carry hope, friendship, and love. That is why the festival is so special. Kyle glanced at her, noticing her nervousness. I'm glad I'm here with you, he said gently. You make everything brighter. Leora's heart fluttered. She looked away for a moment, feeling shy, but she could not hide her growing fondness for Kale. She realized that she wanted to enjoy the festival with him, to share her world and its traditions. As they walked through the festival, A small incident occurred that made Leora laugh softly. A lantern had drifted too close, carried by the wind. Leora instinctively reached out to guide it back, and in doing so, accidentally brushed Kale's hand. Both froze for a moment, eyes meeting, and a warm, unspoken feeling passed between them. Kale smiled softly, and Leora's cheeks turned a gentle shade of pink. You have quick reflexes," Kale said with a chuckle. Leora laughed lightly, the sound like a soft melody in the night. I have practiced, but you were helping too." Together they released their own lanterns. Leora had written a simple wish, hoping for understanding between worlds and happiness for her people. Kale's wish was quiet, personal, and reflected his admiration for Alaris and the princess. The lanterns floated upward, joining hundreds of others in the sky, a symbol of hope and connection. They wandered further, reaching the floating gardens that hovered above the city. The paths were lined with glowing plants that responded to touch, lighting up as they walked. Leora showed Kale how to gently touch the flowers to make them glow brighter, and he followed her instructions with care. You have a special connection with this world," Kale said, gazing at her with admiration. "You see things others cannot." Leora blushed, feeling shy but pleased. I notice. I pay attention. It is important to listen." Kale nodded, understanding the lesson not just in words, but in action. He followed her carefully, letting her guide the way, and in doing so, he learned more than any book or explanation could provide. As the festival reached its peak, the citizens gathered around the central plaza, where lanterns rose in a synchronized dance. Leora and Kale found a quiet corner to watch, the soft glow of lanterns reflecting in their eyes. Leora felt her heart beat faster, the presence of Kale making her feel both nervous and excited. "Princess Leora," Kale said softly, "thank you for sharing this with me. Your world, your people, it is more beautiful than I imagined. And you make it even more special." Leora's cheeks flushed deeper. She had not expected him to speak so openly, and yet his words were gentle, sincere, and kind. I am glad you enjoy it. I wanted you to see what Alaris truly is." They shared a quiet moment, simply watching the lanterns rise higher and higher into the night sky. Each lantern carried a small hope, a wish, a dream. Leora felt as if their own connection was being carried with the lights, floating above the city in quiet harmony. Suddenly, one of the lanterns drifted too close to the floating gardens. It tilted slightly, and Leora instinctively reached out, steadying it with careful hands. Kale leaned slightly to help, and together, they guided the lantern back into the sky. Both laughed softly at the small adventure, the shared moment breaking some of the nervousness between them. You make even small things feel magical," Kale said, smiling at her. Leora's heart warmed. I just try. It is easier with you here." Kyle's eyes softened. "I'm glad. I like being here with you." As the festival drew to a close, the 3 moons rose above the horizon, casting a gentle, silvery glow across the city. Leora and Kyle stood on a balcony overlooking the plaza, surrounded by floating lights and soft music. The world felt alive, full of hope, joy, and possibility. You were brave today," Kyle said quietly. "I know crowds make you nervous, but you shared your world with me." Leora's cheeks flushed, but a small, proud smile appeared on her face. I wanted to. I trust you," Kale's smile grew. "Then I will honor that trust, and I hope we can share more moments like this." Leora nodded, feeling a quiet courage rise within her. The human warrior had shown her patience, understanding, and genuine interest in her world, and in return she found herself opening up, discovering strength in her shyness and joy in sharing her culture. The night ended with the lanterns floating higher and higher, carrying wishes and hopes into the endless sky. Leora and Kale watched in silence, their hearts calm, their connection deepening, and their minds alive with curiosity and excitement for the future. For Leora, the festival had been more than just lights and music. It had been a lesson in courage, trust, and the beauty of shared experiences. And for Kale, it had been a glimpse into a world unlike any he had known, full of wonder, wisdom, and a shy, remarkable princess who had captured his respect and admiration. As they parted for the evening, Leora felt a small spark of courage, knowing that with Kale's gentle presence, her shyness would not hold her back forever. Tomorrow would bring new lessons, new discoveries, and perhaps the beginning of a friendship that could bridge worlds. And deep in her heart, Leora. The next morning, Alaris awoke bathed in soft golden light from its three suns. Princess Leora stood quietly in her private chamber, gazing out at the floating city below. Today she felt a little braver. Yesterday's festival had taught her that sharing her world with Kale brought her more joy than fear. She took a deep breath, straightening her silvery hair, and decided it was time to show him something truly special. Kale arrived shortly after, walking through the palace corridors with his usual careful respect. He smiled when he saw her. "Good morning, Princess Leora," he said warmly. "I've been looking forward to today." Leora returned a shy smile. "Good morning, Kale. I want to show you a place few see. It is very special, but it is private. I trust you to be respectful." Kale's eyes softened. "You don't need to worry. I promise I will respect it." She nodded, feeling a flutter of nervous excitement. "Then, follow me." They walked through quiet palace corridors, passing glowing plants that shimmered softly in response to their presence. Eventually, they reached a small hidden door behind a tapestry. Leora opened it carefully, revealing a narrow path leading into the heart of the palace grounds. "This is the secret garden," Leora whispered. "It is hidden so only those I trust can enter. Few people know it exists." Kyle stepped forward slowly, eyes wide with wonder. The garden was unlike anything he had ever seen. Trees with leaves that changed colors with the sunlight towered over them. Flowers glowed faintly, and small streams reflected the three suns in soft, sparkling light. The air smelled sweet, a mixture of blossoms and fresh water. Soft humming sounds echoed faintly as if the garden itself was alive and welcoming them. It's beautiful," Kale said softly. "I've never seen anything like it." Leora nodded, smiling faintly. It is my favorite place. I come here when I need to think or to be calm. It helps me feel connected to the world." Kyle glanced at her, noticing the quiet reverence in her tone. "I can see why. It feels peaceful, almost magical." They walked slowly along a stone path, the soft moss under their feet making no sound. Leora showed him flowers that opened only when touched gently, streams that formed sparkling patterns, and birds with translucent feathers that sang soft, melodious tunes. Kale watched carefully, learning not just from her words but from her presence, her respect for every living thing. At the center of the garden there was a small pond. Its water was clear as glass, reflecting the three suns and the sky above. Leora knelt beside it, her hand hovering over the water. Kale knelt beside her, mimicking her movement but careful not to disturb the pond. "This pond," Leora explained quietly, "is special. It reflects not just the world, but sometimes it can show feelings, thoughts, or memories. It is a mirror of the heart." Kale looked at her, intrigued. "A mirror of the heart? That's amazing. Can it show anything?" Leora hesitated, her cheeks warming slightly. It does not show everything. Only what is gentle, true, and kind. It is subtle. You must look carefully." Kale nodded and leaned slightly closer. They both gazed into the water. For a moment, the pond reflected only the three suns and the garden around them. Then faint shapes appeared, images of laughter, kindness, and shared moments. Kale saw Leora guiding him during the Festival of Lights, her gentle patience and careful attention. Leora saw Kale listening to her stories, observing her world with admiration and respect. It shows moments," Leora whispered, eyes wide. "Small moments that matter. Moments of truth and connection." Kale reached out gently, brushing his fingers over the surface of the water. I see it. I see us." Leora's cheeks warmed. It is subtle. Only the heart can truly notice." They remained quiet for a moment, simply watching the water reflect their shared experiences. Leora felt her shyness melting away slightly, replaced by a growing trust. She realized that Kale's presence made her feel safe, calm, and even excited to share more of herself. I want to show you more," Leora said softly, standing and guiding him deeper into the garden. There are places that hold memories of my family of Alaris, places that remind me of who I am. I think you will understand them." Kale followed willingly, sensing the importance of this garden to the princess. As they walked, Leora spoke quietly about her childhood, how she had wandered these paths as a small child, learning the ways of Alaris from her elders. She spoke of the lessons her parents had taught her, the stories of her ancestors and the responsibility she felt toward her people. Kyle listened attentively, never interrupting. He asked gentle questions when appropriate, always careful not to overwhelm her. Each answer Leora gave seemed to strengthen her confidence, and each smile he gave her made her heart feel lighter. At a secluded corner of the garden, they reached a small grove of silver-leaved trees. The leaves shimmered faintly, reflecting the sun's in soft, calming light. Leora knelt beneath one of the trees, touching its trunk gently. This tree is very old," she said softly. It has seen generations of Alaris. It reminds me of patience, of listening, of care. I like to come here when I need to think or when I am unsure." Kale knelt beside her, following her gentle gesture. "It feels wise," he whispered, "like it understands things humans cannot." Leora nodded. "Yes, it does, and I think humans can learn from it too. To be gentle, to notice small things, to care." Kale smiled warmly. "Then I will try. I want to learn. From you, from this world, from everything." Leora's heart fluttered. She had never imagined that sharing her private garden could feel so rewarding. She realized that Kale's presence was helping her feel brave in ways she had never known. She felt a small courage rising within her, a quiet strength that came not from words, but from trust and understanding. They stayed in the grove for a long time, speaking softly about their worlds, their hopes, and their dreams. Leora shared the small wonders of Alaris that few had ever seen. Glowing insects that painted patterns in the air, stones that hummed with energy when touched, and streams that reflected not just light but emotion. Kale shared tales of earth, of oceans, forests, and human ingenuity. Though their worlds were very different, they found common ground in curiosity, kindness, and the desire to learn from each other. As the suns began to dip toward the horizon, Leora led Kyle to a small clearing with soft grass. The colors of the sky reflected in the silver leaves around them, creating a gentle, magical glow. They sat quietly, enjoying the calm of the secret garden. I am glad you came here," Leora said softly. I wanted to show you this place because I trust you. Few humans have seen it, and I feel safe with you." Kyle looked at her, his expression gentle and sincere. "Thank you for trusting me, Leora. I feel honored, and I promise to respect your world and your trust." They shared a quiet smile, a moment of understanding passing between them. Leora felt her shyness fading slightly, replaced by a quiet confidence. She realized that Kale's kindness, patience, and genuine interest were helping her grow in ways she had never imagined. As night fell, the 3 moons of Alaris rose in the sky, casting a soft silver glow over the garden. The stars sparkled above, reflecting in the streams and ponds, and the air was filled with the gentle hum of life. Leora felt a sense of peace she had never known before. "Tomorrow," Kale said quietly, "I hope we can continue learning from each other. I feel like this is only the beginning." Leora nodded, her heart warm. "Yes, tomorrow, and perhaps we will discover even more together." For Leora, the secret garden had been more than just a place of beauty. It had been a place of trust, reflection, and connection. With Kyle by her side, she felt the beginnings of courage, friendship, and the joy of sharing her world with someone who truly understood it. And deep in her heart, she knew that this human warrior had changed her world in a gentle, meaningful way. She looked forward to the next day, to the adventures and lessons yet to come, and to the quiet, growing bond between. The next morning on Alaris was calm and golden. The 3 suns rose slowly, painting the sky in shades of rose, gold, and soft amber. Princess Leora stood in her private chamber, her thoughts swirling. Today felt different. She had spent many days with Kyle now, sharing lessons, stories, and quiet moments. Her shyness, while still present, felt lighter. She wanted to express what she felt, but words seemed too heavy, too awkward. Kyle arrived shortly after, walking through the palace corridors with his familiar, careful respect. "Good morning, Leora," he said softly. His eyes sparkled in the sunlight, full of warmth and curiosity. "Good morning, Kale," Leora replied, her voice gentle. She took a deep breath. I have something to show you today. Something important." Kale tilted his head slightly. "I'm ready. Lead the way." Leora smiled faintly, a mix of nervousness and courage in her expression. She guided him through the palace gates to a secluded observatory at the top of the tallest tower. The room was circular, with transparent walls that allowed them to see the entire floating city below. Streams of light reflected off the glass and the air was calm and fresh. This place, Leora began softly, is where I think and reflect. It is quiet and it helps me understand myself. Today I want you to see it. Kale nodded, stepping closer. I'm honored, Princess. Thank you for sharing it with me. They moved to the center of the observatory, where a large crystal platform reflected the suns above. Leora hesitated for a moment, her hands brushing against the smooth surface. Kale, I have been learning about courage, and I think today I can show you something about myself. Kale's eyes softened. You don't need to say anything. I understand. Sometimes courage is shown without words. Leora felt her cheeks warm, but she nodded. She reached into a small pouch she had brought and carefully placed a glowing orb on the platform. The orb flickered softly, reflecting colors that shifted like the skies of Alaris. This orb, Leora explained, her voice trembling slightly, represents a wish. It is, not for myself, but for someone I care about. In Alarian tradition, offering this is a gesture of trust and admiration. It is how we show feelings without words. Kale's eyes widened, and he took a careful step closer. Leora, this is beautiful. I'm honored you would share this with me. The orb began to glow brighter as Leora's hand hovered above it. She felt her heart beat faster, but she held her ground. Kyle, you have shown me kindness, patience, and understanding. You make me feel safe and happy. This is my way of showing you how much I appreciate you. Kyle felt a warm sensation in his chest, a quiet joy that could not be expressed with words. He stepped closer, placing his hand near hers without touching the orb, respecting the delicate balance of the moment. Leora, he whispered, I feel the same. Your trust, your courage, it means more to me than I can say. You are incredible, and I am grateful to know you. For a moment, the observatory was quiet, filled only with the soft glow of the orb and the faint hum of Alaris around them. Leora felt a wave of relief and happiness wash over her. She had faced her shyness and her fears, and in doing so, she had expressed something true and meaningful. The orb slowly floated upward, joining a small collection of similar orbs in the observatory, each representing hopes, dreams, and connections shared by the people of Alaris. Leora and Kale watched in silence, their eyes reflecting the light, their hearts quietly connected. You did it, Kale said softly, breaking the silence. You showed courage in the most beautiful way. Leora smiled faintly, her cheeks warm. I think courage can be gentle. It does not have to be loud or bold. Sometimes it is simply showing who you are and trusting someone to see it. Kyle nodded, understanding completely. Then you have shown me everything, and I will honor it. They stepped closer to the edge of the observatory, looking out over the city. The floating lanterns from the previous festival still hovered faintly in the sky, drifting gently in the soft sunlight. Leora felt a sense of peace she had never known before. I want to share more with you, Leora whispered. Not just the observatory, not just the garden, but all of Alaris. I feel ready. Because you make me feel safe, Cal smiled warmly. Then I would like nothing more. I want to see your world, learn from it, and be with you as we discover it together. For a while, they simply watched the city, sharing a quiet understanding. No words were necessary. The bond between them had grown beyond explanations, built on trust, kindness, and genuine admiration. Leora felt her shyness soften completely in his presence, replaced by a gentle courage and excitement for the days to come. I never imagined humans could be so gentle, Leora said softly. I thought perhaps you would be overwhelming or different. But you are not. You understand, Kale. Kyle turned to her, his expression calm and sincere. Leora, every human is different, and I have learned from you. You taught me patience, understanding, and courage in ways I never expected. Leora felt a warmth in her chest. She realized that this connection, this friendship, this understanding was something rare and precious. She had shared her shyness, her fears, and her feelings, and Kale had accepted them fully without judgment or expectation. I feel happy, Leora whispered, because I am myself, with you. Kyle nodded, his voice soft. And I am grateful to share this with you. Your world, your heart. It is remarkable, and you are remarkable. A gentle silence followed, filled with the quiet hum of Alaris. The three suns reflected off the glass floor, casting warm light across their faces. Leora realized that courage was not just about facing danger or challenges. Courage was about honesty, trust, and the willingness to show your true self. Today she had done that, and it had changed everything. I think I am ready, Leora said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Ready to explore more, to learn more, and to share more with you. Kyle smiled, feeling a deep sense of joy. Then let's continue this journey together. No rush, no pressure, just learning, sharing, and being true to ourselves. Leora nodded, a small smile brightening her face. She felt a quiet strength within her, a courage that had grown slowly but surely. She realized that her shyness was not a weakness but part of who she was. And with Kale's gentle presence, it had become a bridge to understanding, friendship, and trust. As the day progressed, they explored more of the observatory, discovering hidden chambers filled with knowledge, artifacts, and delicate creations from Alaris's long history. Leora explained each piece, her voice calm and confident, while Kale listened intently, asking thoughtful questions and showing admiration for her wisdom. The afternoon passed in a gentle rhythm of learning, sharing, and quiet laughter. Leora felt more alive than ever, her shyness transformed into a soft courage that allowed her to embrace her world fully and share it with someone she trusted. As evening approached, the three moons rose high in the sky, casting silver light over the city and the observatory. Leora and Kale stood together, gazing at the floating city, the soft glow of the moons reflecting in their eyes. You have changed my world, Kyle said quietly, not just by showing me Alaris, but by teaching me what courage truly means. Leora felt her heart swell with happiness. And you have changed mine, she whispered, by being kind, patient, and understanding. I feel brave because of you. They shared a quiet smile, a moment of pure connection that needed no words. The bond between them had grown beyond explanation, built on trust, respect, and shared experiences. As the night deepened, they finally left the observatory, walking slowly through the quiet palace gardens. Leora felt a lightness in her heart, a sense of peace and joy that she had never known before. Kale's presence had shown her that courage could be gentle, trust could be shared, and connections could transcend differences between worlds. And deep inside, Leora knew that this was only the beginning. With Kale by her side, she was ready to face the future, explore new adventures, and continue growing in courage, trust, and friendship. For the first time, she understood